Hello everyone, welcome back to the Last Starship. I hope you're having a great day today. We're going to be taking this factory to a whole new level today, and I want to preface this, I'm going to say it correctly this time, I'm going to preface this by just letting you know that there's a lot of things happening off camera with this series. It doesn't happen very often when I make playlists, but I am doing a significant amount of gameplay off camera in this series, prominently because it is repetitive. Okay, so lots of courier missions, moving things around, etc. My humanitarian rating here, let's just make this a little bigger. Humanitarian rank is rank 4 now, logistics rank 3, but industry is 8, combat 5, etc. I'm doing a lot of the missions that are fairly repetitive and we just keep doing over and over again off camera. That is to earn money so that I can fund the factory and fund the different builds and fund making a new ship, which we likely will do today. This video is going to be probably about 4 hours of gameplay slammed into a single video. Probably. Maybe 3. I'm hoping it's less than that, but because I want to make more videos, but it's okay. So I'm just letting you know that that's how that works. So this factory is getting completely redone today because we have the Stargate project phase 3 unlocked, and it's given us an insight into what it's going to take to do this. So we have Stargate actuators we need to make. This is with Stargate frames, which is made from frames, and also motors, which is used from these 2 resources as well. So we have those. In addition, it's given us recipes for things we don't need to make yet, but I assume we'll need to make in phase 4. So things like Stargate receivers, for example, which take frames, energy coils, and lenses. Those are the receivers. And then the Stargate capacitors, which takes the energy coils of the Stargate actuators, but also introduces a liquid component as well, the stable isotopes. Is also need to be brought over here. Stable isotopes are only able to be generated by having a ship in FTL regularly. So we're going to have to go into FTL a lot, generate those hyperspace isotopes, and then refine them, and then deliver them to this factory. So there's some interstellar logistics that's going to have to go on in order to make these Stargate capacitors. That's probably phase 4. I don't know yet. I'm leaving it blind. I want to experience it as it is. Please don't tell me. But I'm assuming this is phase 4. Because we have the recipe unlocked. The last recipe they gave us is the energy transmitter, which again, frames. Noticing a pattern here, a lot of frames. Frames, energy coils, motors, lenses, etc. So these 4 resources specifically look like they're going to need to be available in abundance, as they are an intermediate resource that goes into a lot more advanced resources. So we're going to need to set up this factory in a way to where we're making a lot of those 4 elements. Frames looks like especially. We're going to make a lot of those things and then feed those things into other, other workflows. I've also been asked to make a factory tutorial on this game because some people are lost with this. I'm not in a position, knowledge-wise, to create a tutorial for you. But what I will say is that by watching this series, you're going to learn how this stuff works, because I'm going to learn how this stuff works, and you're going to mostly learn what to do and what not to do, and you can follow along with me on the things I do right, and also point out and see the things I'm doing wrong and correct that in your own gameplay as well. There's a lot of undo, redo, indecisiveness that will happen in this because the organization of making items and stuff, the resource chains of things that I've never experienced before ahead of time. Like, for example, I don't know what phase 5, 6, 7, 8, etc. is, right? I don't know what these things are going to need. So I might have to retrofit something or make a new ship just for these things, right? So we're going to do it based on the assumption that those 4 things, frames, motors, lenses, energy coils, not necessarily in that order, those 4 things are going to be the core components of everything we build going forward. That's what I'm going to assume. So for that reason, we have a lot of these storages right now. And some of them are quite full, and that means people are going to have to take things out of the storages just to move them, and that sucks. This is going to get very full. It's going to look it's just going to look terrible. And I will be making more solar panels, right? But these are all, not all of them, half of them have been made in this factory. So I'm not buying solar panels. We're making them ourselves in this factory. But you can see the scaffolding, right? I plan to double the solar capacity of this building because we're going to be doubling the machinery. And so as we do this, we're going to have solar panels here. I can't place drone bays in the same location as solar panels, so I can't place them here. Okay. The center is for the drone bays, the mining lasers, etc., because that's not where the solar is. So what I want is for these arms, they're going to stay doing what they're doing, placing things on the track, and then the track is going to send out. But what we're going to end up doing here is I'm going to have this track come all the way out this way. And it's going to maybe zigzag a little bit. I might end up making this a square, but I think this looks better. Although having smooth corners might be an okay thing, but it's not an important thing to me. It just does. I just don't care. So we're going to have this track come all the way out this way and then come all the way up. And then what's going to happen around this area is it's going to start getting sorted by smart arms and placed on tracks that discreetly place, discreetly is probably not the right word. It's going to have exclusive tracks, essentially. So some of these tracks are going to end up being only for metal ingots, only for copper, or not ingots, but, you know, the minerals and stuff, right? And they'll all be sorted in their own supply chains with buffer tanks, and then they get distributed to where they need to be to have factories process them, move them along this area, all the way down in here. Eventually, they end up as motors, energy coils, etc., probably around this area where these machines are, is right around where they're going to end up doing that. They'll then get sorted into additional buffer tanks, and by tanks I mean crates, big crates, and then they'll be offloaded again and sorted into where they need to go and routed to their various different production chains in this area where they will be made into the more advanced resources, and eventually that will get kicked out and stop right here. Then we will have their final storages. It'll have a layout a little bit like this with tracks going around it in a loop, and all those resources will end up in storages right around this area, maybe over here too, although I'm going to move my Tillium crystals to be over here because they really don't work with any of this. Like, Tillium crystals just don't seem to be, and I kind of wish I keep clicking the wrong thing. I kind of wish the recipes layout would work in other ways too. For example, like, I can click motors and I can see what makes them, but I can't click like Tillium crystals and see what recipes use the crystals. You know, I want to be able to do it, to work it backwards and stuff. I want to be able to click Tillium crystals and I want to say what recipes include this resource. And the game doesn't allow me to do that. So for now, it doesn't look like Tillium crystals are really used in hardly anything that's going to be necessary. But, you know, I'm getting them for various different contracts, and eventually I will need them for some reason, right? But we're going to have Tillium crystals kind of made over here. So it's going to be its own separate product line. I'll probably start it right here and have it processed this way. That way I can expand on it if it does take anything, or I can route it around. And if for some reason the crystals are getting used in something, we can set up some kind of catchment over here that allows it to get injected into wherever it needs to be injected. And we'll just route the track over to there where it needs to be. Okay. We also have research now that allows me to make these tracks into splitters. So if I control right mouse button on this, it turns it into a splitter. Visually, okay, I was going to say visually it doesn't look any different, but it actually does. There's a little bit of a difference to it. And if I maybe do something that's in the center, so maybe it's a little more obvious. If I do that, it looks like this. And so what that does is it's going to allow the resources to get split off one way or the other, or maybe even in 3 directions. I really don't know. But it doesn't have any smartness to it. There's no sorting to this. So if you want to sort things into its own tracks, you need to use the smart arms. And the smart arms take up a lot of space, but, you know, you can put other tracks underneath them. So we can have things like this, and that can work. So I'm going to start setting that stuff up as well. I'm going to do this mostly in camera or out of camera, and then bring you back into what I've done, because this process will take a long time. This video will end up being like 3 hours long. I don't want that to be the case. So I'm going to bring you in step by step, but I'm going to let time run as I reconfigure things, okay? And that's going to maybe help as a tutorial for some of you that are lost. And then there's probably a lot of bad ideas I'm going to have too, okay? I'm not immune here to bad ideas. I don't play a lot of factory, quote-unquote, games. I've played them in the past, but I'm not an expert on them, and that's kind of why I tend to tiptoe into it, but not go full in on it. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, initial setup has all of our resources coming out of here. And as you saw in the little time lapse here, the resources are going to come around here. And then there's various different tracks that split. But in general, we have a loop right here. So these resources will go in a loop right here. So if the volume is too great for whatever reason for these arms to grab, they'll have a second chance to grab it. It's fine. We have metal, metallic ore, whatever, is going to come off of here and get picked up. And then we have copper going to get picked up here. And precious ore is going to get picked up here. Each of these are going to drop it onto a separate track, which is then going to go into a loop. And that loop will eventually end up with these short arms, bringing them into a dedicated storage for that particular resource. Okay. Then that resource gets unloaded out of here onto this track where it is picked up by one of these arms and loaded into these smelters. Once it's done with the smelters, the other arm is going to load it onto the other track that's next to it. And that track is going to take it over to this area where it will be unloaded into these crates here. Okay. Now these crates are not lined up, and that's because we're going to need, I'm just looking at the recipes and everything. I think we're going to need more metal ingots than we will need copper, and we'll need more copper than we will need precious ore. So it's kind of for space savings. It's sort of like that. That said, for the purposes of space savings, I probably could pinch this in just a little bit, but I'm trying my best to leave a little bits of gaps and stuff so I can expand. So for example, if I need more copper, I can drop another smelter right here, and there is room for 2 arms to go there. And then, well, there's at least room for 1 arm to go there, but then it could also be unloaded from this direction and loaded on that side. And then same thing here. Another smelter could go here and then be again unloaded on this side and put up there. So there's room for that kind of expansion. I could put 1 more here technically and have this track go all the way over and get picked up here, and then again unloaded on this side and loaded there. Okay, so we've got that done. Now I need to, and these guys are going to slowly, I've doubled the crew in this ship. You might have noticed that too. Procyon Cruiser gave half of its crew to the Astral Temptress, and I probably could have done even more to help speed this up. There's only 7 crew on the Procyon Cruiser at the moment, so why don't I actually go ahead and just give them almost all the crew on the Astral Temptress right now, which is going to get changed. I swear we are going to do this. I do see some names, and I will, by the end of this video, we will have them named. It's fine. But I'm looking for the things that are more important right now, which is the setup. Lots and lots of tracks left as well. I've been making tracks this entire time, so I still have 280 track segments left that I've had these guys making while I've been away and doing things, running errands. So that's how all this is going to work at the moment. If we wanted to test that out properly, we could go ahead and turn mining and salvaging and stuff back on. The lasers will start shooting. The drones will go out and collect, and we should see everything work pretty well here. I do have, just for the sake of extra capacity, and I don't know if it's really necessary, probably not, but for the sake of extra capacity, oh, see, there's already a bottleneck right here. I do have this track splitting. So it's going to have 2 separate segments just to add a little extra capacity in case of backups. But otherwise, it's, it's all one track. It's going to come out this way, and then it splits. Here you can see there's 2 separate segments right there. And so, some of it will go this way, some of it will go that way. That is not sorting. It's just adding capacity. And to be honest, I'm looking at it, and I just don't think that's necessary. But I've already got it built. I can easily dismantle it. It will have no consequences because it all merges right here and becomes one track again over here. But my idea here, my logic was in doing that is that if this gets backed up for some reason and it's all the way backed up to here, one of these tracks is going to get backed up. Well, now we have an extra buffer in that there's a second track that can potentially get backed up. So I just have more available on the track is what I was thinking. But all of these things get sorted into their own various different tracks and stuff. And so they all go in here, and you can see right away this stuff starts loading it into the smelter. If this is smelting and it's got nothing to do, then it will bypass this one and go into this one, and it'll bypass this one and go into this one. And that's just kind of how that will go. So as we begin to have more and more of these resources come in, and it looks to me like I'm going to need extra arms here. So that's one of the reasons why we want this to run. So I can go short arms, yeah, like this. We'll just do that right there. And I don't think I need it in copper, but we'll add another one anyway because we can. And it looks like another one over here would be a good idea too. So we'll go like that. And then we want to have the track change. So I will have this track get out. And why don't we just have, yeah, the track segment can end here instead. That's got to be enough, I would think, for the precious. We'll see. It is backing up, but I think with an extra arm here, doing this, it should be all right. So there we go. And then I can go like that. And I wish there was a way to like prioritize the build on that, but it doesn't seem to be a thing. Let's go ahead and get the cables, make sure all this stuff has power. There we go. And just a little bit of redundancy, it's fine. But now we can see all the smelters are running. And then what ends up happening is this arm should grab this and move it over to this crate. There it goes. Yeah, it took a little bit of time. I'm not sure why, but it is working as intended. There we go. Extra resources being brought over at a time. It looks like that's about the right capacity. You can see copper getting backed up now too, so it's good to have those extra arms. And it's just about expansion, being able to expand the capacity on this thing as we go. It seems to me precious ore maybe needs to even more capacity. All right, fine. We'll just go ahead and do this all the way then. So this will go all the way down here and like that. And then we will have small, short robot arms. There it is, short robot arms here and here. That will take care of capacity issues, no problem ever. Same thing with that. And you know what? Might as well. Let's just have one more just in case. So there it goes. We'll have all these things doing what they do. And they've got hooked up to power. Everything is powered. Yep. So that will take care of this as soon as I take and dismantle. Yeah, that track is like that. I don't really need to do this end piece here. I suppose I could just leave it straight. But I did that anyway, just in case am expanding it later and I'm moving tracks. I don't want tracks like this right here was a big thing because these are two separate resources. And so I just made this all the way through, even though this is a completely waste of a track right there. But I did it so that I could tell them apart right away. I don't want to leave a gap and be like, oh, cool, let's connect that, because there's no reason to connect that to anything else. So there we go. So now the capacity is more than adequate to deal with what we have to deal with here. Yeah, absolutely. So this will all get loaded in. And then I don't know why these are delayed so much. That's kind of weird that they're sitting there. That in general shouldn't be happening, but maybe it's because the storages are basically full. I mean, they're not full, but maybe they are. We need to start making things with that, though. So let me work on the intermediate resources, and I'll be right back. This part's a little more challenging, but we'll get it done. Okay, got the metal part done, and I also had to deal with, you might have saw in the cuts there, I had to deal with the whole logistics drones being on the track thing. So I went ahead and made a modification, and instead of having that whole thing go like this, it's basically here now. And I could have this split just as like an extra thing. I just have to go in and right click that one. And now it should be, yeah, split from there. So it's fine. But these guys here are now going to find such situations like this, and they're going to pull the drones in and get them off the track. I don't know if I need 4 of them. I could probably repurpose them if I don't need 4 of them. It looks like maybe 2 is at most fine, but I wanted to really make sure drones did not end up on this track anymore. So there we go. Everything's being sorted very well, and everything's being brought in. But we have a little bit of an issue now, is that I've run out of short arms. So I'm trying to make everything as compact as possible. Here's what I've got. Right now, fabricators are going to make frames here, and I need more frames made. So we're going to have more fabricators down this side too. So 1, 2, Maybe 4 is fine for now. But more fabricators need to be made here. And the ingots will then head down this track and get picked up by short arms here. Bring it in. Long arms will then take it, put it on this track. So these are going to end up being frames right through here. Okay. The frames are going to get taken to this area where they're going to be processed into Stargate frames. But also they can go into a buffer storage as well. And that buffer storage will then feed this direction to go into additional production. So Stargate frames here, and then the frames are then splitting and going off other places too. Then on this side, I've got the motors being made and the energy coils being made. Now, these require copper ingots, and at the moment, these guys are bringing the copper ingots from here and bringing them in, but we're going to have the same track system feeding copper ingots into this side too, so that all this stuff ends up being automated. It gets kicked out, and the motors end up getting kicked out over here, and same thing with the energy coils. They'll end up on the same track. Then we'll have smart arms bringing the motors off of the tracks and putting them into proper storages as they go. But I need more short arms is essentially what I'm at right now. I need a lot more short arms. So we're going to, for the time being, anyway, leave the Astral Temptress, tentatively named, as it is. And we're going to go ahead and I'm going to get some more crew into my other ship here. So let's just bring 15 of that crew, I guess. Bring 15 of those guys back into our Procyon cruiser here. Meanwhile, this whole thing will just keep running, keep working, filling up these storages. Eventually, the storages will fill because these are full. And, you know, as much as they are running them around, it's not going to be enough. I could, because these are going to be sorted by smart arms later, I could, before I leave, bring these up and maybe go, I don't know, maybe about this far. I could do that, and then we could have it ring around into a loop. That's probably ideal, to have this loop. Something like that. And then that way the smart arms can grab them from this side and just keep, you know, moving them into different storages as they do. So we can go something like, say, motors here, and yeah, the energy coils could be there. And then 2 storage crates. You could go one, like, say, there, the other one there. That would be good. That would be good for now. And then for frames, if I want to have the buffer storage for the tank for that too, which I do. So we can do storage crate down here for the frames as well. Tentatively, I guess we'll place it here. Yeah, I mean, I could put a gap here, but because I might need extras. I want to leave room for the extras. So why don't we just place it here for now? This is probably fine. I want buffers though. Man, I want buffers. Okay, tell you what, let's move it up. Trying to figure out exactly how I want the storage to be. It's not going to be level with the other ones. Maybe that annoys people. I don't know, but we'll see. I'm going to place it here for now. Nope. One more up. One more up. Storage crate. Yeah, one more up like this. Yes. Right there. And then we're going to have this track come along and go about like that. Should be fine for now. And then I'm just going to have these regular robot arms, which I can't do. Nope. It's going to have to be up one more level. I mean, I guess I could. It's just big. But this does leave me the ability to have the frames go underneath the arms later too. I guess that's not a big deal. Yeah, we'll do that. Have a little bit of a... Yeah, that's all right. All right, so robot arms come in like this. And let's have them just pull the frames into storage here. That's fine. All right, and then hook them up to power, of course, too. Where is my cables? There it is. Yep, hook them up to power. Make sure everything is powered. This is the part where we start adding a lot more machines. And the energy is going to start getting drained. Notice my output is 630. My demand is getting very close to that 630 on peak. So this is the part where we have to also be expanding our solar production as well. Because we're going to start having our batteries. See that? It's starting to get a little bit... Yep, that's what we're trying to look for, is where's my limit. And then as I reach my limit, we, you know, add some more solar panels to it to keep going. But now all of these, what we want these to do, right, is you're going to bring in, let's say, motors... and motors. Yep, and then you will be energy coils. Energy coils, energy coil. Yep, and then also energy coil. Okay, and then this will be energy coil storage. Energy coil, which is going to fill up very quickly anyway. Gotta find it. Energy coil, and then also this one would be our motors. There we go. And then this one is just going to be frames. because frames are used in making Stargate frames. So there we go. So we've got that going on now, and the arms will just pull them in. These ones need to be smart because they're sorting multiple things here to bring them in. And then the other ones don't need to be smart. So now this is just on a loop, and it'll just keep going. And I'm thinking they're not grabbing them because there's pending stuff being brought to these storages. It's the only reason I can think of as to why they wouldn't be doing it. But at least now we're constantly making frames too, because we're going to need them. Okay, so while that's happening, Procyon Cruiser is going to undock. And I need to go over... Yeah, I need to go over and pick up some things, including the short arms. I don't think I have... haven't made... I can make the robot arms. I don't think there's a fabrication recipe to make the short arms. Or the assembler, sorry. I don't think there's an assembler recipe for short arms, but maybe there is. Let's put the assembly tables over here. These guys can manage that manually for now. These are going to be in the way. Let's put them over here instead. You know what? I don't know why I want to continuously move these things over and over again. Why do I want to do that? Fabricate them here. They're going to be way out of the way if I do them over here. So let's just do that. Okay. And with these fabrication tables set up, the battery it's charging. It's okay. These might change that though. We're going to make solar panels. So I see robot arms. I haven't seen short robot arms. So I haven't been able to make those. I can make the normal robot arms myself, and I have. A lot of these arms are made here, but I haven't been able to make the short ones. So that seems to be, that's a little bit of an issue. So we want solar panels. We want, I guess I can make some robot arms. I might need more track. I think eventually I will need more track, and I can now make my own hydroponic gardens now too. I got that recipe as well. So why don't I have solar panels being made? We're going to have, let's say, robot arms probably don't need to be made consistently. Tracks can be made, but I do wish I could put limits on that. That's the one thing I wish I could have is manufacturing limits. Say, when you have this many, stop making them. That doesn't seem to be in the game. And so you get situations like this right here. This is why this exists right now. It's pretty bad. Also, I can get rid of a lot of the green in this by just adding a couple of storages here for the Tillian crystals. I don't know exactly where that's going to be, and that's why I was kind of waiting for that workflow. I think I'm fine the way it is, but yeah, that's something else we're going to have to do too. So you see all these motors and energy coils and frames and stuff that are here. They should be brought into these various different storages over here as well. And I can add additional storage here just in case we get really full. I can say that maybe frames can go in here because we're gonna eventually have them anyway. We could say that our motors can go here, our energy coils. You know, we could have different storages for these just so they can get them off the ground and free up room. So for the time being, I'll just have these assembly tables making solar panels because it looks like we're going to need it. Okay, I'm going to go to a different system. I'm going to run a couple of contracts and I'm all to get that. I also have, I guess, part 3 for the trouble with tidlets, but we're not going to do that today. We'll have that be a separate video, and just need to know where I'm going here. Let's just go back to this colony really quick. And I need to get short arms, and I'm going to have to make several jumps to different places to get those short arms. So what I do is I do my delivery contracts and my Uber stuff, and while I'm going to these various different colonies, I'm always buying the short arms that they have in stock at the time, so I can keep stocking up on them because I really like the short arms. They take up less space. I really like those, and you know, to be able to put them right next to the track is very good. So I go over into industry. I find the short arms, which I don't know how to make them. I don't seem to have a recipe for that, but I can buy 6 of them here, which is great. Same thing with the smart arms. I don't think there's a way to make those either, and I'm going to need more of those, so I'm going to buy those too. And then any various different storage crates and stuff I usually grab as well. Everything else I can make myself, so it's not a big deal. I don't think I'll need more drones, but why not? So we'll buy that, and then as we do, I'll do the urgent passenger deliveries and stuff as we go. So I'll be right back. Of course, if I was a smarter person, I would know for sure that the smart compact arms and the smart arms and all those things are easily researchable, and that's why I don't have them, because you can get them. So track compact smart arms are right over here in the automation tree, and then smart robot arms are right here, obviously. Robot arms being faster, tracks being faster, etc. All those things are here as well. We even have drone assembly possible too. You can make your own drones. Not that I need that, but yeah. Anyway, we're gonna go over to logistics. I'm okay with buying them. I'm fine. All right, I can make enough money to pay for them, but yeah, we will eventually want to make our own here. So Astral Temptress currently can get 24 of these short arms. There we go. And then we can also bring over 13 smart arms that I've gathered. I've also grabbed an extra couple of assembly tables and fabricators for it as well. And I probably should have grabbed some more smelters. I didn't grab smelters. Definitely should have done that, because now I'm going to be low on smelters, I think, here. But we will have the smart arms at least. That'll be done, because this is going around in circles. Yeah, these are full now. But if we start using them to produce things, they won't be so full. But yeah, we don't have these full yet, so we can still keep bringing in resources. Now, this part here is the problem, right? Tillium ore has no place to go. So that's an issue right now, and I need to solve that issue before I get this. So why don't I go ahead and get these guys to just kind of go in. Let's stop mining, and let's stop bringing in resources temporarily and figure that out. So these arms are bringing it over here, but the Tillium ore has no place to go right now. So that's interesting. So one thing I could maybe do to solve that is to just not mine it. But eventually some craft is going to come around here and start mining it, and then the drones will start pulling it in. So I still need a place to put it. And one of the things I could maybe do is have this maybe wind out a little bit more. Maybe have the precious ore not come all the way out here, but have this do that instead. So this can come out like this and then wrap, and then the Tillium ore can be on here. I can pull it out and have that track bring it all the way out here and bring it over here instead. It's a long path, but I think it's actually the easiest because I can make tracks really cheaply. Right here, it's very compact. I would have to have smart arms grabbing it and then bringing it this way anyway. I want to process Tillium ore over here. So I think the easiest solution for me right now is to just take and make this short. Let's just like take this apart, for example. And we'll go ahead and just have this wrap slower here. And then from here, we want this track to go up this way over something like that, and then down. Right. And then from here down, and then we can have it kind of go. I know it's a bit of a zigzag, but we can have it do that instead. Okay. And once we have that done, I think you'll see that the resources will be a little bit more collectible because they're already on this track and they're just, you know, taking up space on this little loop. So I need to get them off of this loop basically. So now we're going to put them on a different loop. As soon as we can get that track in place, we're now going to dismantle that, and we will have it flip over like this instead. And that will take care of the loop and bring the loop over another place. So now what I can do is I can take my smart arms, and it's not quite in the way. I think it'll be all right. We can take our smart arms here, and let's go 1, 2. I think 2 will be okay on this. I don't think we're bringing a lot of it over, but yeah. Let's put a buffer storage for this. Will be right here. It's fine. That's gonna be a buffer storage for this, and then our track for the Tillium ore. We can actually put this buffer. Do I want to go up that way? I kind of don't. No, we're going to leave it right here. It's fine. The buffer is going to be like this. And then I'll have it come up. I want it to come up. Do I leave a gap? Oh, I have to leave a gap. Yeah, because the mining laser is along the wall. Yeah. So I have to leave a gap anyway. It's fine. So this is going to go like this. Okay. I know. Doesn't that sound wonderful? Oh, it's going to get stopped here anyway. Well, shoot. Yeah, because the docking port is there. Do I need the docking port there? I'm not sure I do. I can just dock to this side. I don't know why I need this in the factory. You know, instead of we've got to think about, you know, efficiency, right? Instead of trying to optimize something that doesn't exist, or don't spend time optimizing things that don't need to exist, right? Exactly. So I'm just gonna say dismantle. You know, we don't want to waste our time. So let's do that, and then we'll just get rid of it, and then that's gonna allow me to bring this track over And when we bring the track over, it can be on this side. And now we can process the Tillian ore over here, which is where I wanted to process it in the first place. All right, so now that this can come up, we want this to grab Tillium ore. Where is it? Right here. Yep. And then you are going to do the same thing. And then you are storing Tillium ore. Okay, so now we should see this stuff get off the track. Maybe it's not fast enough to grab it all. I think in general, it eventually will be. Not sure how you got on the track. That is so weird. There's just no reason for you to ever reach this point. I have 4 of these arms to grab you. That's very strange. Either way, we have this, and now these can pull in. And I think they're never really going to be this close together, typically, like consistently. But even if we do miss them, it'll work its way around and eventually get all filtered out. I think, because mostly there will be other resources coming by first. I'm trying to justify not having a third arm here, because I really don't want to have a third arm here. So I just, again, a waste of my time. And I think also, instead of using one of my really valuable short arms right now, I can just use one of my very easy to create longer arms instead on this. So just regular old robot arm. Yeah, and then we'll just go like that. And we'll grab it out of storage and pop it on that track, and everything will be fine. I can actually save myself a track segment just by going like this and then installing the arm there instead. Yeah, it's fine. That'll save me 1 track segment for get the same result, right? So there's the Tillium ore. It just gets brought onto that track and sent down this area. And I think that's better, right? And eventually it'll end up, yeah, all the way through here. All this stuff is on this track too. It'll get taken off the track, and everything will be good there. So real quick here, the track is going to be like this, and then it goes like that and meets up with this track here. Okay, and then we just want to make sure that this is not a storage zone. So just take the storage zone part off of this so that all that stuff gets brought off of the storage track, and then we can see where that track is. All right, so that takes care of filtering out the Tillium ore, and I can probably bring this stuff back online. But I do want to get the copper stuff to be more automated, and now that I have the tools to do that, let's go ahead and do that. So I'll just do that in real time with you. So we have all of this here. I want a short robot arm to put that resource into there, and then we want a short robot arm also on this side, putting in the copper as well. So copper there, 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 and there, with the longer arms coming in like so. Here, here. Wait, no, not on this side. Not on this side. We can actually have the motors and stuff all come on this track and then loop around. I suppose maybe there's some merit to having different resources come out on this side because there's room for it. This is pretty packed. I don't know why I wouldn't do it, but I'm thinking I have another workflow I want to do, and that's with the lenses. But the lenses are going to be over here, so maybe it's not a big deal. Either way, for now, I do want that to happen. So let's have the short arms, right? And it's going to grab the resources from here and bring it over. So we'll say that the short arms are here. I can save myself, I guess, a little bit of space by doing it this way. Yeah, we'll just have this all the way right about there. That's fine. And then we'll do a regular arm here now. Just a little bit smarter on that. I could do the same thing here too, but I've already got it built and it's already very compact, so I'm just going to leave it. But from here I have a little bit of extra space, so I'm just going to leave a gap there and let that go and do its thing. All right, and that's going to allow us to have copper be brought into these fabricators automated, which would be nice. All right, so cables, get everything connected to power. Yep, and then we should have some solar panels now to install. We have 6 solar panels to install. There we go. So we'll put one right there, and I think it's time to start using the front. Yeah, so same thing here. I want to go all the way to the thruster first. We'll start on this side. Put 3 on that side, I guess, and then 3 on this side as well. I guess 2 on that side because I can't. Oh, right, I had 1 left. I can't count. That's fine right there, and then also over here. So just expanding our power as it's required, right? As we get more and more power requirements, we will expand it going forward from there. And then this needs to come all the way down to the end. I'll just do it all the way to the end now, so I don't have to do it later. That and like that, and then over on this side we'll go up that. Straight down. Straight down. And we'll just connect to the track. And we'll say that the track is connected to power. There we go. So now as I add solar panels, I won't have to worry about laying cable either. I'll just add them as we go. Okay, cool. So the next thing to do, well, make sure this is connected to power, is to just test the system and see how it's running. But also I need to set up a production line to use the motors and energy coils. So what are we making, right? Well, we need motors and Stargate frames for Stargate actuators. That's on our schedule right now. The Stargate receivers require the frames and energy coils. So those are something I need to have brought over. So maybe I flip these. Because right now I've got energy coils here and motors here. I could flip these and make sure that well, actually the other one, right, the actuators take Stargate frames, and so they need to be over here because the frames are going to be made into Stargate frames here and then pushed up. So, okay, here's how we're going to do it. So I'm going to have two, I'm looking at it. Yeah, I'm going to have two of these arms grabbing frames off of these tracks. I've moved these arms back a little bit and removed this track segment. So what's going to happen is the frames are going to come in this direction, and then these arms should be bringing them into... Oh, the storage is full, of course. But they're going to be brought in from this track, so we're going up. And then I think these actually need to be changed. Yeah, because this is coming around into there. Yeah, so these need to be changed. So we're going to pop these arms out, replace them with short arms. Yes, and then all of this gets hooked up to power now. So let's make sure all of this... And I know my power system is like all screwy, and I got cables and stuff like everywhere, and I get it. It's fine. You never see it. You know, it's fine. So these two assemblers are going to make Stargate frames. I don't know if I really need two of them, but for the moment, I'm going to make two Stargate frames. So they're going to bring the frames over like this, and then it takes a person, I believe, to make these. You have to have somebody sitting here making them. So there's a little bit of manufacturing that has to go into these, which is why I'm not sure I need two of them. But either way, we're going to make Stargate frames. Then I want another robot arm to take them off of this, and I need to kind of be separated from these guys. So maybe like here would be okay. I think right here would be fine, but kind of want to make this closer and more dense. So like let's go like this, something like that, and then another storage crate would be located here. And we have a walk space right there, right? Yeah. So right about there. And then this is where our Stargate frames will be stored. So the arms kind of go over top of their heads, grab it, and pull it that way, which I guess is fine. You know, it's cool to have them just watch your head, guys. All right. OSHA doesn't have a say where I am. Okay. So before anyone tells me this is an OSHA violation, just know I am well outside their jurisdiction. Okay. But that should work now. So the arms should just grab this when they're done with it and pull it over here. And I think that's the way that will work. And then over here, we want to have these short arms. Yes, short arms will grab these frames from the split and bring them into here. Now, I could just have it all just come from the same track, but the idea behind it was that I wanted to make sure half of the supply went here. You know, so I don't want to have one thing pulling more than the other kind of thing. And we're going to be using a lot of regular frames, so I just split it here. I think it's okay. So now all of these will end up going like that. And then these should be supplying the frames directly here. And when they're done, I want to see this arm activate and put it here. I'm hoping anyway to see that. Yeah, there it goes. So now this guy doesn't have to move it, and he can start right on another one if they wanted. Okay. So with that out of the way, we now need to create the other stuff. So I'm looking at my recipes. There it is. So motors and Stargate frames create Stargate actuators. Let's really quickly go to frames and energy coils instead, and then the motors are there. Maybe the motors, because it's right here. Right. So this stuff and the motors comes over, and then this is the part where I think I need to flip these because the frames themselves are kind of like in the way. Like this whole workflow is a little bit in the way because the frames need to go with these and the motors need to go with these. So I think I need to switch if I switch the storages to where frames are up here and motors are down here, then these two things are right next to each other, and it just works to where the frames, the only problem then is I just have to figure out how to get the frames to this storage, which I think is as simple as just adjusting where the tracks are, you know. But That's why we do this. That's why we figure it out and see where the bottlenecks are and make the adjustments, huh?